Hello, everyone. So this next video is about our program in Vietnam, which is another one that I'm really excited about. It's a place that I've been to in the past as well, and it's an amazing place. I think this image here is of a city called Nha Trang, which is an amazing beach town, and it's one of our placement locations. So this will be about a 10-minute video with some information about kind of the general lay of the land in Vietnam, what it's like teaching at a school there, the financial side of it, and application process if you like to apply. So Vietnam is somewhere in between, I'd say, Thailand and China in terms of our destinations, in terms of how they've responded to COVID and border openings or closures, because they've been in a lockdown, but they are coming out of it now. And the good news is that we're basically starting to recruit right now, and the dates we're aiming for are May this year, 2022, in terms of the visa process, which takes about 3 months. So at the moment, the quarantine situation is that you are expected to quarantine for about 8 days in a hotel, but this is fully covered by the school, so you don't pay for it. The next slide will be all about the school and what to expect from it. But in terms of this initial one, the main thing to say is that it's a private training center, which means that they kind of operate evenings and weekends mostly in terms of the teaching hours. And for recruitment purposes, that means that they don't really go by an academic timetable. So they're always looking for teachers. They have branches all over Vietnam. So yeah, basically, you know, there is not set dates that you need to apply for. You can basically apply any time of the year. The requirements are that you have a degree, a TEFL certificate, and a clean criminal background check. There is a strong preference for native speakers, but if you have kind of a high English proficiency as a non-native, at least C1, then you can also be considered for this. So then in terms of the schools in Vietnam and what they're like. So this is interesting to me because I worked in China myself, but it was at a private training center. So from that point of view, I'm very familiar with the type of school that this is and how they operate. I'd say it's a really great way to work. I think especially if you don't really have teaching experience as a first job. What helps is one of the bullet points there that teaching materials are provided for you. So there's quite a structured approach where they have, you know, branches where there's a lot of other foreign teachers, on average at least sort of 15 foreign teachers working at a branch. And there is a structure in place where they give you teaching materials and you have colleagues to draw on for support and everything. So it's a good environment to get started, and sort of you have a training period when you get into it, and there is support as such. Our partners have branches all over Vietnam. So you could be in one of the big cities like Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi, or the city I mentioned, Nha Trang, the beach town. But there's also much sort of smaller cities off the beaten track. And one of the things they do is incentivize teachers to somewhat to those smaller destinations in terms of some additional financial support in a housing allowance. But the next slide will be more about the financial details. In terms of the teaching, I'd say that it's mostly younger learners. So these are motivated students who are coming to a center like this, maybe because they want to study abroad in the future, maybe because their parents just from a young age want them to learn English to have a better skill set in the future. So it's you working with small classes of about 10 students. And, you know, in this situation, given that they're learning English from a young age, often they're quite good at English even when they're young. Like in this picture, you know, they can be quite conversational at that age. So the teaching hours that you would expect are basically during the week, Monday to Friday. You might work 3 weekdays in the evenings, maybe, you know, let's say from 2 or 3 p.m. to the evening, and then the evening being the teaching hours, and the earlier hours of that day, more preparation. But the key teaching periods is on the weekends. So Saturday and Sundays are sort of a 9 to 5, where you do the bulk of your lessons and you're teaching intensively. That means that the days off that you have, and most weeks, like almost all weeks, this will be 2. Sometimes it's 1, depending on how busy the center is, but those days off would be during the week. One of the key features that is beneficial about a school like this as well is that there is a lot of progression for scope for career progression. I speak all the time to candidates who might see this as obviously a career for 1 year, but I also speak to a lot of people who see themselves doing this for at least sort of 3, 4, 5 years and want to make it a longer term career. If that's the latter case is your situation, I think a school like this offers you a lot, because you might start as an initial teacher, but then, you know, as the years go by, you can become a more senior teacher or the manager of a branch, or you can go into marketing or curriculum development, and also increase your salary and obviously your job skills over time. So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of the finances, the starting salary is a net salary, and this is all denominated in dollars in Vietnam. So a net salary of $1,400 if you have experience, and by experience here we mean like 2 years of teaching experience and a CELTA, or something very close to that. If you don't have that, if you maybe don't have teaching experience yet, you're closer to a net salary of $1,250. This is based on sort of a full-time contract, which is for 80 hours per month, so roughly 20 hours per week. There is one caveat, which is that there might be circumstances where you don't have classes for all those hours and you might get paid less. I think this is mostly tied to COVID, and as that kind of gets hopefully a lot better over the coming period, you will generally be kind of expect to teach those 80 hours. But if you don't, there is a minimum floor of 40 hours that you will certainly always be paid. So basically half of that salary, the starting salary there. Because our partner have branches all over Vietnam, and obviously most of the time, like, you know, 80% of people want to go to, you know, Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi or sort of the more popular destinations. They have an incentive in place if you want to go to one of their smaller cities, which is that for those smaller cities, they offer a housing allowance of $220 per month. So yeah, that's something to consider. If, for example, if saving is one of your priorities in being placed here, I think there's a lot of scope to do that in Vietnam. And I think if saving is your key priority, it might make a lot of sense to opt for one of the smaller cities, because there's two benefits. Basically, your salary goes further in those cities and you get the housing allowance. And in that case, you could save significant amounts of money for sure. I know that one of our other partners for another program in Vietnam, they mentioned that they had someone from the US teaching in Vietnam, and she was able to pay off, I think, $40,000 of student loans in the course of 4 years teaching in Vietnam. So certainly a good destination for that. Flights, so in terms of other reimbursements, there is a $150 reimbursement for visa costs, and visa procedures for Vietnam include authenticating documents and obviously applying for the visa itself. So this $150 goes some way towards that, but maybe not fully, you know, doesn't cover all the visa related costs. Flights are not reimbursed for teaching in Vietnam. So our program fee is 250 UK pounds if you have a TEFL certificate already, or if you just decide to do it independently. And it's 330 UK pounds if you want to get our TEFL certificate, which is a really high quality TEFL certificate with TEFL UK, and it's a 120-hour course. So what we do is a couple of key things. You know, we obviously help you find a really good school. We help you with all visa procedures, make sure you go out legally. We offer lots of support with training materials, and we have ongoing sort of pre-departure meetings where, you know, you meet other people in the same boat, so you can kind of travel together and plan for that together. And then there's also in-country support as well. So yeah, so if this is of interest, my name is Arnold, and that's my email address right there, arnold@impact-teaching.com. So always feel free to email me if you got any questions. The application link is right there. So I'll also put it in the link in the description. So our process is that you would send a CV and a cover letter to apply, and then we'd invite you for sort of a half-an-hour chat to talk through the program and how it all works. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to hearing from you.